All right, welcome back to another episode of the Is It Legit podcast. Today, we are unfortunately covering some events that are happening that's affecting a lot of people in Washington and in the PNW. We have a catastrophic flood happening in multiple parts of the state. People are people and their homes and properties are underwater, sometimes even 15 to 20 feet of water. People are being rescued from the treetops by helicopter. The entire cities and entire neighborhoods are being asked to evacuate, over 100,000 people. It might sound like a movie, but it's definitely not. It's happening right now in Washington State. We thought it would be good to spread some awareness and maybe talk about what is actually happening, how things might be affected in the future, long-term and short-term, and also what we can do about this and what we will be doing. So, Peter, do you want to start us off with some facts?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm surprised that we don't have more coverage around this. I mean, it seems like, when the Hawaii fires happened, there was a lot more national coverage. I saw it here and there in like ABC News and whatnot, but I don't know if people understand like how serious it is out here. I mean, there's people like we know that are affected. I've been looking on my Facebook and I'm seeing people like with their having inflatable boats trying to get to their house, and their whole downstairs is just all flooded.
Yeah, I've seen posts of people essentially calling their neighbors for help, people using their kayaks to deliver food and supplies. I mean, it's just crazy. And a lot of these homes are older, with basements, and it's a really bad situation.
And being in real estate, understanding what that level of water does to a house and how much it degrades it, right? It's like, I don't know how they're going to repair that, right? You have these older homes with older wood that's just getting, drenched in water that will affect the structural integrity of their home, right? Unless you reframe it, which is not cheap. And so it makes me wonder, how is insurance going to repair this? Are we going to be another Florida type of situation where they should have their own separate flood insurance, but are our flood premiums going to, are our insurance premiums going to go up because insurance companies are now having to dish out so much money in a event that totally broke records in terms of this. People were expecting the 100-year flood. You hear about that, or 500-year flood. It's not supposed to flood in 100 years, yet it happened 4 times. And so, is it really 100 years? So, anyway, it's just crazy, and we were not prepared.
Yeah, and just before you start on the stats, so there is that idea. So in our business, we know a lot about floodplains. We know a lot about soils. We know about previous floods that have happened in history that can affect the soil condition. And the concept of 100 or 500-year-old floodplain is that it's supposed to flood once every 100 years, statistically, or 500 years. But like you said, that's obviously not accurate all the time. And for people who live in, let's say, Mount Vernon, near the river, we've sold homes where you have to get flood insurance. It's another $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And will they discontinue that? Will they pay out on it? I mean, that's a huge thing that I'm personally concerned about. So yeah,
Definitely.
Let's talk about some facts.
Yeah, so 16 inches of rain fell in the Cascades over just 3 days in Skagit River, which is near Mount Vernon. For those of you guys who don't live in Washington, this is a major river that we have in Washington, and it hit a record of 37.7 feet. That's massive, smashing the 1990 record. Over 1,200 rescues in 10 counties. They were plucking people from treetops. They literally were like holding on to trees and just holding on for dear life. And people had to rescue them from there because that was the only way. And so it's insane stuff, movie type of stuff. Over 100,000 evacuation orders, just like you said. 20 plus highways closed. 20. I mean,
20? Wow.
It's crazy across 11 counties. Highway 2 is a major highway for us. we have Highway 2, we have I-90. I mean, these are ways to go east in Washington. And they're, they could be closed for months. So I actually saw the video because, obviously the water went to the dirt and the dirt started eroding because of the water. The road, the concrete all just fell apart and you can't get through. And so because it could be closed for months, I mean, that could be $4 million a day until these things get fixed. And so it's a very serious condition. There was this is recent, a confirmed death. Man drove past barriers into floodwaters, and he did die. And so maybe there's not more coverage because there's not as many deaths. I don't know, but it's just there's definitely a lot of damage to a lot of properties.
I feel like I'm seeing much. Well, to be fair, I don't watch the news too often because it's it's a whole nother podcast. But I'm just seeing it on social media more than anything, and I'm just randomly scrolling, and then I just get hit with this crazy. And it's places that you and I have been to. I can remember like driving past this area or having sold homes in this area, or like I just sold a property in Pierce County in Roy, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, $4 million of lost revenue per day. That's crazy. And it makes sense because you're not able to get to places. You have people having to reroute. Traffic is crazy everywhere, right? I mean, just getting into I-5 now is just like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really bad.
So let's talk about the atmospheric river because this is what is causing these floods. And so you can kind of go through the key points. This is the AI version of the description because I'm always trying to figure out like what the heck is the atmospheric river? What does that even mean? It doesn't really make sense. And it says, imagine a fire hose in the sky, 300 plus miles, that's massive, wide, pumping tropical moisture 7,000 miles from near the Philippines directly into Washington. It's a fire hose just pumping water into our rivers, and that's the atmospheric river. I believe it's raining right now, and it's going to continue to rain. It's going to continue to get worse. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about some of the key points.
So it's happened before. It's been called the Pineapple Express when it's come from near Hawaii. So I think you're probably pulling from the equatorial areas where there's a lot of moisture. Maybe I don't know how it comes here, but it does. It's rated on a 1 to 5 scale like hurricanes. So 5 being the most crazy and 1 being the least crazy. Washington got hit by category 4 and 5. Normally a couple of times a year is manageable, but we had 3 major hits back to back to back since December 8th, which, I mean, today's what, the 15th or whatever, the 16th. And another thing is groundwater is saturated. So if it rained and the groundwater is saturated, we've seen this on different properties we've sold also, where it literally, the water has nowhere else to go, and you just pour it into a, like water pouring into a cup. It'll tabletop and then it'll go over, and obviously it has to go somewhere. So it goes downstream into people's houses, depressions inland. And there's actually what's called GIS maps online that people can look up to see what the low level depressions are. If you guys are ever concerned, you can just type in GIS map per county, King County, Snohomish, Pierce. But it's basically a warmer atmosphere holding more water, and it dumps as rain instead of snow, I guess because it's not cold enough. Because that actually explains why, because we didn't actually get hit by like tons and tons and tons of rain, but I guess it's more up in the mountains that's dumping into the rivers and
Yeah. I mean, for a while, even in our house, it was really, really pouring. And I remember telling my wife when I looked outside, I was like, there's like raining. And we're from Washington, guys. Like, we understand what rain looks like. But there was a moment where I opened the door. I was like, what the heck is going on? This is a crazy amount of rain. And this is here. Yeah. This is not in the mountains. I can't imagine what happened in the mountains. I can't imagine. It was probably like apocalyptic.
Yeah. Can you imagine being up there? I mean, that's crazy. No. And with the winds and I mean, this really kind of talks to at least me about getting, prepared for stuff like this. I just bought a Jackery, the battery, right? I think you bought one and then I bought one.
Yeah.
And I immediately started thinking like, what do we have at home? So maybe we can talk about that too, but.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about that at the end?
So damage implications for Washington. So we talked about I-5 closures costing us $4 million per day. You mentioned the Highway 2 closure could last for months. That's crazy because that's skiing, that's Leavenworth, that's economies and communities.
Tons of businesses out on the east side. I don't even know how many businesses and homeowners.
Yeah. There's like a string of towns, from Monroe. It's, for people who don't live here, it's just Highway 2 is actually considered one of the most dangerous highways, if not the most dangerous highway.
Apparently.
In the US because of how narrow it is and how far up and down it goes into mountain, like the mountains. And it's very fragile. So
what about the people who went past and can't get back?
Yeah, they have to.
I guess they go I-90
all the way. But then now that there's traffic, because I-90 is also shut down partially from what you researched.
Yeah.
Man, that's it. I hate traffic. It's just it. And then also multiple levees and dams are now at risk of failure. So that's scary. And I know that there's literally people that are being displaced into shelters, and people are housing other people. There's like food drives, clothing drives, which we're gonna definitely do something about because we should. But yeah, that's some of the infrastructure impact.
Yeah, in 2007 there was apparently Washington floods. Do you remember this? This is
the
massive.
Year I came in 2008.
Oh, okay, yeah. Got it. I was here. I don't really remember. Maybe I was too young, but apparently it was like 500 plus million in damages. And the full damages, we don't know exactly how bad it is. Back then it was 500 million. I think this one was worse. And that was 500 million in, pre-inflation. And so what are the damages now? 500 million, dude? Like that's not crazy.
Yeah, that is a lot, but that's not a lot.
It's crazy. And then, our state has $1.6 billion in rainy day funds. That is 100% going to be used. And so if the damages are really again, we're still flooding and it's going to get worse, guys. And what if we don't have enough money? And what if another catastrophic event happens? So I don't know if you've been watching the various news, but apparently we have blizzards coming. Apparently we have wind advisory. I don't know if you've heard of that. Apparently there's been like tremors for earthquakes.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So I don't really know. And then it's like, okay, maybe the federal government will take care of us, but how much money do they have right now, to do stuff? Because Florida's still damaged. There's been flooding in I think other areas too around the America. And so how much money do they have? What happens when the money runs out? What happens if the help runs out? What if FEMA runs out of people and resources? What if the National Guards, all used up, right? What do we do, man?
That reminds me of a Hurricane Katrina. This is like when we were kids, and I can't remember exactly where it happened, but I think it's the south or southeast. And it's just like, they were just stranded for days because help couldn't get to them. It was gridlocked. It was so crazy. Yeah. And if you're talking about like, FEMA and the National Guard and all this stuff, it's like, if all these things hit at once, we're going to be displaced. There's people not only that's been evacuated, but losing power. We have 400,000 people plus or families have lost power. That's just a lot. And it just shows how fragile we really are. We live in this bubble and we think we're this and that, but something like this happens. And I mean, if you see the pictures and videos of this stuff, it's pretty crazy.
It's like, it doesn't seem real, but it is totally real. Oh, by the way, something super messed up that's happening is people are getting looted in their homes. These guys who just lost mostly everything and are in a crisis situation. There are horrible people out there right now who are going out there in boats. Like, and this is not just driving by. They're going
boats.
out in well, not like
Wow.
sometimes rowboats or maybe small motorboats, going into people's homes, stealing stuff from their houses. I mean, because obviously they can go in and there's no one to stop you, right? Unless they have another boat and then you can just speed away. It's so messed up, right?
Yeah, desperate times. Desperate times.
Again, it seems apocalyptic. Let's talk about the government. What is the government doing? So what is our federal government doing about this?
Okay, so President Trump signed an emergency declaration just a couple days ago. FEMA got deployed, and they're establishing a communications hub in Bothell, which is very close to us. Federal government apparently covers 75% of eligible disaster costs, which I did not know about. 16 counties plus tribal nations covered under declaration, which is, I want to say most, if not all, of Washington State. And we are working toward more major disaster declaration. That's the federal. And then the state response is, so Governor Ferguson declared statewide emergency, obviously. Washington National Guard deployed, over 300 plus members assisting. So everybody who's helping with that, I mean, my heart definitely goes out to you guys. 3.5 million in emergency funds released. I mean, it just seems so little, but I guess they're maybe stepping it to the people and the entities that need it. Now we have cash benefits assistance programs, and there's just more disaster relief being poured out.
Yeah. Senator Chris Gilden said that, well, essentially he said, we don't know how bad this actually is. They said that some levees like Green River, so Green River also flooded, there's been a lot of issues there, weren't repaired from damage 4 years ago. So if that tells you...
Where is that? I don't know where that is.
Green River, I believe it's south. I forget exactly where it is. It's like Auburn or Kent or one of those south areas.
Yeah.
But the Green River goes through all of that. Okay, so here's a question in a lot of people's minds. Will it get worse? And the answer is yes. More atmospheric rivers are coming. Second and third storms hit this week, December 17th. Today's the 18th, right? So they could be hitting right now. Rivers that briefly receded are surging back up. Okay, so I'm sorry if that's like disappointing news for a lot of you guys or anybody who is affected. Landslide risks remain extremely high as well. So the long-term climate picture, this is a new normal. A climatologist says more intense river flooding is expected in the future. And it's because of the warmer air, more moisture, heavier rain, less snow, more rain, faster runoffs into the rivers. And so 100-year floods on the Skagit could increase volume by 50% by 2080.
That's a shocking statistic.
Which I think will change a lot of build areas and also flood insurance. I mean, some of these, again, how is this going to work? Are some of these homes even going to be able to stay? Because if flood insurance gets so ridiculously high, and if you don't have insurance, you won't be able to get financed. If it gets so high, then you're not going to, be able to live. And that's kind of what happened to Florida. So this is kind of my biggest concern. Like right now, probably everyone's just in emergency mode. But what happens if once all is settled and done, that the insurance companies just say, "Hey, I'm sorry, this is going to be another Florida moment. You can't stay there," and then all these guys will be displaced. They won't be able to sell their houses. Who's going to buy that home?
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Or it's uninsurable. And in our business, if something is uninsurable, then a lender won't take it, because why would they? Right.
Thus tanking the values. And if not,
yeah, I don't know.
There will be no value.
I mean, I don't, that's a, and then, we've learned this lesson through other experiences. So when you're talking about, so remember we looked at, so many years ago, but we looked at a property in one of the valleys near Snohomish where we were trying to build a tiny home village. And one of the things that we ran into is that there's no viable land, because there's Lennar Homes here, there's D.R. Horton here. Everybody's taking up these big swaths of land, and in land development, everything's like on a 10-year thing. Like you can hold land in Duval for 10 years and then develop it. Well, the only land that's kind of left is these maybe farmlands that have to be converted, maybe land that is downhill or in a valley or in a depression. And this is exactly why we actually could not make this work, because we could not convert that agricultural land, which was literally like in the valley, to a tiny home village for this purpose. And this is why we think knowing where to choose your property is so important. Like location is everything, right? And unfortunately, people can only afford homes in certain areas, because that's where else are you going to go, right? So it's a problem that's systematic, and I hope that everybody who's listening can maybe think about what they can do without, maybe what they can do to give. I know that we are talking about something like that, and unfortunately it will get worse, and I hope that people are able to stay safe and sane.
Yeah. I think for all the Washingtonians, along with people outside, I hope this is very serious. This is very serious stuff. If you look at Sumas, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but if you look at some of these areas, I mean, we're talking serious damages, like whole areas being completely flooded. And this should be everywhere. I mean, people should be on the ground. Hopefully we can help as many people as possible during these times. But I mean, this stuff is like catastrophic, apocalyptic type of things. It may not affect us because fortunately we live Mukilteo is kind of on a hill. But there's a lot of people who are really struggling. And I don't think we understand how bad this is until things start settling down and realizing, oh my gosh, the amount of damages this has made. And so I hope you guys know that this is a serious thing, and we encourage you guys to help as much as you can for these people who have been affected, because people may think, if you don't live in Washington, you may think, oh, well, Washingtonians are rich, and so they're not really affected. No, not all Washingtonians are rich. A lot of the rich people are people who are in tech, and a lot of their homes did not get affected. And so there's a lot of people outside of the tech world who are just normal, average, hardworking citizens. And unfortunately, they've been severely affected by some of these floods. And so let's really help. Let's find ways to volunteer. Let's give. Do a food drive, or try to house. If you have a friend who's been affected, maybe house them for a couple of days. If they have a family, just for a little bit. Because hotel costs are really expensive. Like, what are these guys doing, right? There's no free hotel. They're going to have to pay, and the economy is already tough. So that would be my biggest encouragement for people.
So I have looked into this a little bit. I thought, what can I do to help? Can I go volunteer? So I started Googling different organizations. So if you type in, your area or county and disaster relief or how can I help, you'll run into all of these, like the Seattle Times published something that compiles, the YMCA's, the Red Cross, all, United Way, all these people. You can give money, obviously, so that they know what to do and what to buy and things like that. They're also doing a lot of food and clothing drives for people who are affected, obviously, right? Who are in cafeterias or schools or some, communities or whatever, churches, I'm guessing. And then, if be active on social media, because somebody might be actively asking for help through Facebook or, whatever. And I think this is the time where count your blessings, because for anybody who did not get hit, including us, we're very grateful. And one last thing is, this is also a really good time to take stock of some of your emergency supplies. We have talked about this quite a bit. We have started on the journey of gathering things. What if, there's an extended power outage, like just a few months ago, right? Some people in Bellevue, the tech city, we're without power for like 5 to 6 days.
Yeah.
And that's, your food's gone. I mean, you're cold at night. Some people don't have gas for heating, so it's electric, and that's all gone. So maybe have some stuff, maybe have a little power generator, a battery, maybe some water, maybe some clothing, just some emergency supplies. YouTube is your best friend. Look up those things. But I think it's a good reminder to be a bit more prepared mentally and physically.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. I mean, it does hurt. I mean, obviously we're in a tough economy, and any extra money is just rough. But if you can get your hands on some canned food, if you can get your hands on, something that could hold you over for at least a week, I think it would be smart, especially during these times. I mean, we have like old age, very archaic infrastructure in some of these dams. And what happens if, that's a huge part of our energy supply. What happens if that gets cut off for a long time, and your local convenience store or QFC food store is closed? What happens if we have a blizzard, which they say that's going to happen? We're going to have blizzards. What's going to happen if we have a prolonged winter? Our infrastructure is not ready for stuff like that, right? We're not Minnesota. And so as much as it hurts, I think it's worth it. Go get some more supplies. Be prepared for the worst. And I think it'll be, it could save you guys, especially in times like these where we're very vulnerable and we don't have as many resources as we have thought. So, yeah. Well, any other thoughts?
I don't know. Sell things if you don't have money. I mean, whatever it is.
If you have a family, yeah.
Especially if you have kids. I mean, you have a wife. I mean, people are looting because they're not prepared, and because it's the shock of, people, desperate times, call for desperate measures. And it's really unfortunate. But again, it just reminds me to be grateful and to be helpful as much as we can. And just try to be prepared. Have something in your house. If it's one thing a month you get with some extra cash, so be it.
Yeah.
Get a water purifier, get a little portable battery so your food doesn't go to waste. Little things like that I think can really help.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for those of you guys who don't live in Washington. We appreciate you guys caring and listening. And it would really help us if you like and subscribe. And please donate if you can. We really encourage you guys to donate or help in some way. We're not going to endorse some kind of organization. We just ask you guys to find an organization that you can trust, and please help. And I hope this is where humanity really comes through, because remember, life is not all about us. We live together. We live in a society as a race, and we're just hoping that the goodness of us humans really comes out during these times. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.